Hi everybody, this vehicle is a 2006 Chevy Malibu, and today I'm working on the right rear wheel. This vehicle has been making a clunking noise, which we diagnosed as a bad bushing in the rear trailing arm. So this trailing arm is, or the bushing rather, is right in front of the rear wheel, and here's where it sits. So first I'll show you the replacement part that we got. Turn this blinky light off. This is a Dorman 905527. Got it on Amazon for about 25 bucks. And here's what the part looks like. So got a new bushing already pressed into it, and of course the bracket and everything. So it's kind of big. Get the light on so we can see under here. But book time says it's about 1 hour to replace this. So I got to take out these 4 bolts right here. This is the big mounting bracket that holds the trailing arm up into the body of the car. And then back here on the rear wheel knuckle, there's 3 big bolts. So one here in the front, and then there's 2 back here that have to come off. Then of course, got to take off the emergency brake cable. There's a bracket right here, which will come out with that bolt, and then another 10mm right there that holds that on. So, says it's 1 hour. We'll see how long it takes. Once I get it out, of course, I have to unbolt the steering knuckle from this bracket. It's just 1 bolt that's holding it in there, which you can kind of see up through here. So, let's get started. A little bit high up, but I don't feel like dropping the car. I'm just going to try real quick with the breaker bar. See how tight these are. Oh, they're not tight at all. I'll just buzz them out with this. Yep. They're all going to come right out. Okay. So, let me try that 10mm there. Yep, that's going to come right out. Let's see what that is. So these are 18mm. These are bigger. .21. Okay, found my 21mm wrench. So, yeah, we just try to break these loose. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, okay, now they're going. They're really tight. Oh boy, wow, that's really tight. Of course, now I'm up against the sway bar. And now I'm up against this other arm. This is not... Okay, all right, so they're going. Might be able to get them out with a swivel. They're in somewhat of an awkward position because the shock is in the way here and the sway bar is in the way here. So the shock is blocking it on this side, so I really can't get a socket on it. On this side, I could almost get straight onto it, but there's just stuff in the way. I mean, if I have to, I'll do the whole thing by hand, but I'd really rather use an air tool. Try and do this the best I can with getting it in view of the camera. Yeah, so a socket is definitely not going to work on there. Nope. And maybe. All right, let me try this one first. Here we go. So there's the bottom one. There's the top one. They're basically the same bolt. And now this one's going to be a little tricky. But let me get that 10 mil out first. Really? What's going on with this? My air tool is just very weak, that's all. Almost, there we go. Okay, so there's 10mm bolt for the brake cable. Just let that hang there. Now I got this one bolt. So I got these here, and then that one bolt right there. This one I think I'm gonna have to do, just the old-fashioned. Yeah, right about now it would be nice to have a 21mm speed wrench. Actually, I might have to pull this shock. I don't know if this bolt's going to come out. It shouldn't be that big a deal if I have to. You know what? That bolt won't come out. There's just not enough clearance between the bolt head and the shock. So, what size is that? That's also 21. Pop the bottom of the shock off. So now it's kind of hung up on this bolt. So I'm gonna have to get creative about pushing this spring back up. There we go. At least now I got the bolt out. So now I can move on to these. Just finish popping them out. And then I should be good. One bolt, they're really big. Try and get this whole thing in frame. So there's the one bolt. Number two. Wow, it's really dusty. Yeah, they're all the same big bolts, man. Okay. Wow. There's a lot of rust dust. What's the matter with this bracket? It's just rusted onto this thing. That brake cable bracket is rusted onto this thing. There we go. Very cool. All right. Cool. Here's the old one. And actually, you know what? I mean, that is loose. It's definitely cracked in there. It's definitely cracked and broken. Yeah, I think that must have been where the noise was coming from. I think this end of the bushing was hitting against that. And that's what was causing the noise, because it's really loose in that direction. It's actually not in that bad of shape though. So anyway, let's get these two things apart. Okay, so it's 18 and 18, all right. I think I'm gonna wanna do this like this. Room to get on that, so sort of hold that in there like so. Need these. Oh, that's going. Doesn't like it though. Wow, that's really hard to do. Hang on. One idea. You try and loosen it up by hand first. All right, that's not going to work. Either. That's tightening. This will be loosening. Oh, there we go. Okay, that ought to pop right out now. Sometimes, you know, you got power tools, but breaking things loose by hand just works better. Let's see. All right. Spinning, so there's the bolt. So yeah, I mean it's beat. It's actually not that bad. I sure hope that's what was causing the noise, because now I'm not so sure. Anyway, we got a new one. Come on. There we go. clearance to get that. That's good. Okay. Now to tighten this up, check the book, and it said 44 foot-pounds plus 60 degrees. So that would be right there, 44. Now, actually, you know what? Let me just buzz that down real quick. And then I'll torque it. Good. All right, there's 44 plus 60 is about 3/4 of the way to 90. So there we go. All right, so it's tightened up. Looks pretty good. Wow, it's actually not, it is not moving in there. I wonder if it's supposed to move. I mean, I actually could have locked that down in any such position, I guess. I think I might, I wonder if I'm a little bit off. Well, let me put it up in the car and see if it lines up. I actually might have to readjust this. No, actually that is just about, that is about spot on. How I got that lucky. That is about perfect. I'm thinking that this little rubber tab on here is an indicator for where you're supposed to line this up, and I wonder if that's supposed to be dead center flat. Because I could just see this thing going in there, and once you put load on it, it's going to start to flex that bushing. Don't know if that's exactly how it's supposed to be. You know what? I'm going to go check the video footage. Okay, so I went back and looked at the video, and it appears that this little rubber piece, little rubber nipple that's sticking out on the top of this bushing is supposed to be lined up basically dead center with the bolt and flat with this plate, which it's very close right now, but this plate appears to be straight with the whole piece, and it's not supposed to be like that. This should actually be on a slight angle. So I'm going to loosen the bolt and just turn this a little bit so that this rubber nipple is right on top of the bolt and basically in line on a plane with this piece of metal. All right, now it can move freely. So I'm going to line that up. Since I'm trying to get this straight, I might as well start out with a straight frame. about there. So that's pretty straight. The vise is crooked, but this piece right here is straight. So all right, so that looks pretty straight. Now the vise is crooked, but this top plane is pretty straight and level. So now I'm gonna line this up so that this is lined up with this nipple. So I don't want this to be straight with this bar. It needs to be a little bit crooked, but if I could draw a T from here straight down and then across, that's about how it would sit. Something right about there. So I'm just sort of looking at it straight on from this angle, and I'm drawing a T from here and straight up. Just draw a T in your mind, and that's where it should line up. So right about there. It's gonna be a little bit tricky to do. I'm sure they have a fixture for this at the suspension factory. Right about there. That looks pretty good. This is straight with the floor, and this piece right here is straight with that little nipple. Actually, that might be a little too much. Yeah, I think that's actually too much. I think this needs to go back a little bit. I might be overthinking this, but a lot easier to do this now. Yeah, it's still, I think it's a little bit off. Yeah, no, that looks really good. That is much better. Okay, cool. So, let's try to hit that 44 foot-pounds. Okay, I guess I already hit that. Well, let me back it out. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. See how tight it feels. Now I can't do it in this way. I gotta switch the vise up. Okay. Something like that. Oh yeah, that's tight enough. Okay, very good. I think it's time to put this in the car. All right, that's pretty good. Yeah, it looks all right. Well, let's get this fit in there. This was like that. Basically how it was sitting. So if I hold this to the body, yeah, that's not too bad at all. All right, just dress some of these bolts up. That goes up high. Fit this bracket on there. There's some kind of a strap plate up inside the frame here that this threads into. Okay. Okay. And start getting some of these little bolts in there. There's a light so everyone can see what this looks like. So those two are kind of in there. And then this one. All right, that's getting hard to turn now. All right, that's hard to turn. These I can buzz in. Air in. Come on. Okay. Just bottomed out, and now I can buzz these up here. I'm actually going to use a torque stick when I do this, just so I make sure I don't over tighten them. Torque on these 3 bolts back here is 133 foot-pounds, which my torque wrench will not even get on these bolts. So I will do that by hand. 133 is pretty tight, so. Wait a minute. I can do it with the swivel. It's going to lose a little bit of the torque value, but it'll be close enough. It's not even clicking because I can't put that much torque through the swivel. All right, that's good enough. And then these 4 bolts right here are 66 plus 30 degrees, which I'm sure I've already gone over. There's 66. extension. All right, now for the 30 degrees. All right, cool. All right, well, here we go. I just gotta lower this down onto a stand so I can get the shock bolt put back in, and that should be good. Okay, so here's how we do this when we don't have the exact tools we need. Set that right on the anvil. There we go. Take a little bit of the pressure off, and then get under here. There, that's nice and loose. What size was that, 21? It's a little bit tricky getting all this stuff. Okay. All right, cool. And now it's buzzed down. Now to put the car back up. Now that's all back in place. Let's go ahead and snug that up. That's good. All right, cool. Well, there you have it. Replacement of the right rear trailing arm on a 2006 Chevy Malibu. Took a little bit longer than book time. I bet I spent an hour and a half on this. Book time should have been 1 hour, but I think it turned out pretty good. It really wasn't that hard. The worst part was just lining up where the bushing goes in the bracket. So anyway, pretty cool. Well, if you have any questions or any comments, post them below. And thanks for watching. And if you like my videos, please give a thumbs up. And also, please subscribe. Okay, so one thing I did forget to do is put the brake cable bracket on here. That's just one 10mm bolt. So pretty cool. There's the bracket on this side. And there's the bracket on this side. And let's take a good look at the spacing on this bushing. See what that looks like. Cool. Looks all right. Awesome.